Good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Good morning. Welcome to the 21st century, huh?
Wow, look how good we sound. What is this?
It's
ISDN? What sort of is this an encrypted app? Does Paul
Yeah,
Manafort can Paul Manafort hear this?
It's on the cloud.
it's on the cloud, so I know at least one group of people are listening to this.
Malcolm, can you
Poor
explain
Paul
how
Manafort.
dumb you have to be under house arrest, have 2 ankle monitoring bracelets, and think that using an encrypted app is going to get past Bob Mueller?
Oh my God! The funny thing is, I've done operations where I've been on the collecting end,
Right.
and I can just imagine the FBI collectors there who are like, "Hey man, Manafort is opening up his iPhone," and they're like, "Yeah, really?" And he goes, "Oh, he thinks he's going to use the Signal app." And he opens up Signal. These guys are monitoring his keystrokes. Okay, it doesn't matter what you do. And then he's suborning perjury from people what are you, stupid? First off, bets. People had to pay a lot of bets, I'm sure. The FBI had to pay off a lot of bets over thinking how stupid this guy was, because he's pretty stupid.
Malcolm, you can't tell the difference anymore between an SNL sketch, right? Remember the thing when they did Cohen, and then they, no one will hear us, and the FBI guys are just sitting there going, "What?"
2 guys shaking their heads, "No, we can hear you." It's absolutely ludicrous.
And you tweeted, "The man is caught. He knows he's caught. He's terrified of the consequences. He's going to attempt to stop the investigation soon by falsely claiming the Constitution allows him to defy the law." We are in terrifying territory, aren't we?
We are, and it's. I'm sorry to say it. We are in the midst of a constitutional crisis, a slow burn constitutional crisis. But Donald Trump has figured out the slow burn part of this. The reason that Watergate came apart was principally because everything came out on the nightly news and the newspapers in the morning. So you actually had to take time to consider what you were getting. But by flooding the zone with all these crazy things, and it was David Corn's great article where he said he is putting 2 words out into the cybersphere: hoax and witch hunt. Every day, every tweet, those things are going out there, and that is what he's doing. Narrative framing, what he wants to have as his great frame for this entire investigation. And people are stupid enough to believe it. And it's having great effect. I think 53% of the public now believe that the Mueller investigation is purely political and not a law enforcement operation.
Good God.
We're in trouble.
Yeah. Malcolm, I'm looking at his tweet sheet this morning. I literally just asked Travis, I'm like, does he tweet? He tweets this every day. Greatest witch hunt in political history. But this is a level of gaslighting, Malcolm. So he goes on to say, this is a level of criminality beyond the pale. This is such a grave abuse of power and authority like nothing else we've seen in our history. This makes Nixon Watergate burglary look like Keystone Cop stuff. And I don't know what he's talking about. What? A Spygate or it literally is, right? I mean, talking about projecting or whatever psychological thing you want to say, right?
Well, he has Brad Parscale as his campaign manager,
Right.
who's the head of his digital engineering team. And they work directly with Cambridge Analytics. And now we're finding out that Black Cube, the Israeli organization, may have been contracted by the United Arab Emirates government to also assist in this, the narrative framing and psychological warfare operations in the run-up to the election. But they understand these phrases. When they say, hey, we're going to put out hoax, we're going to put out Spygate, these things have been tested by experts in political and psychological warfare. And they now know that Trump isn't doing this spontaneously. He's been briefed, put this out every day, and we can nullify the American public's belief in this system and law enforcement. He doesn't care what it does to the Constitution. He doesn't care what it does to the nation. He doesn't care whether it actually ends up killing people, because some crazy's going to get his gun at some point and pull a Pizzagate and come up somewhere and attack one of his political enemies. It's just overdue. So,
Well, okay.
there you have it.
It's,
You said he'd make us feel
speaking
better.
of ramping up the pressure, Paul Manafort is going to go to jail, don't you think?
Oh, Manafort, this is going to be glorious. I mean, first off, I was a little surprised when they put the second ankle bracelet on Paul Manafort. And I thought, really, guys? I mean, how many black guys get that? None of us. But
Right, well, I
now
mean,
he
they
is trying
continue
to
to
suborn
commit.
perjury.
They continue to commit crimes while they're
What's
under
the
investigation for the first set
what?
of right.
How many times have I used the phrase "masters of the universe"?
Yeah.
These guys believe that they actually control the system that's happening. And what's happening, Paul Manafort believes in his head that because he got away with so much dirty stuff in the Ukraine, and the United States is so much less of a police state than Eastern Europe, that he could actually get away with it. And that scene from SNL with the two FBI guys shaking their heads, no, we can hear you, right, is real. I mean, it's actually happened. He is probably not going to evade this. He tried to suborn perjury. He tried to get people to essentially lie for him, was going to coordinate a conspiracy, which can be another count.
Yeah.
He's going to jail. And you know what? I think Mueller right now needs to send a serious, severe message to everybody who thinks that they're going to get off by a pardon from Trump. That we're not going to play games with you anymore. Nobody's getting out on ankle bracelets. You're all going to go to jail from here on out.
Well, so then what? Do you think he flips? I mean, it obviously is going to increase pressure, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, jail has a way of refocusing you. I think Martin Luther King said that himself. That it gives you the opportunity to reflect on yourself and your core. In this case, the man is a criminal, and he has managed to evade. And the worst part is when he was doing those dirty works in the Ukraine, he was having people put into jail on the basis of the activities that he was carrying out, these pro-Moscow activities, which led to an entire, Maidan movement, a Ukrainian Spring movement in there, which subsequently people were killed, imprisoned, and all of these things. But get behind those bars where you're now under positive control at all times. You're put in a little room. There's no television or internet for you. You got to use a phone that is recorded. All of your mail is perused. Then he's going to think, if he thinks that Trump is going to bail him out, then that guy's in big trouble.
Well, Jeremy Bash, who your fellow MSNBC analyst, he said it's also a major signal from Mueller and the prosecutors that they take obstruction of justice very seriously because, after all, what's Manafort accused of doing? He's accused of obstructing the Mueller investigation by trying to get his story straight with potential witnesses. Major signal to the president, to Giuliani, to the president's inner circle that if you obstruct, if you lie, if you witness tamper, we're going after you. Except that clearly all these pardons are meant to signal something. Clearly this letter being leaked now is meant to signal how broad they're going to exert that the president's authority is, right?
Absolutely. We've just entered into dictatorship 101. And I'm pretty sure I put a tweet out something along that line.
You said a year ago, I said Trump modeled himself on King George III. Now he's ruling like him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Donald Trump has gotten into his head, mainly because he's sitting around with his little crew, rehearsing that scene out of Goodfellas around the Italian restaurant, thinking that they can now... No, really, okay? Giuliani, I can't tell whether he thinks he's Joe Pesci or Ray Liotta, okay, in this story. But then again, Liotta flips and becomes a witness at the end.
Right.
But these guys are doing that scene in Goodfellas where they're like, oh, you think I'm a clown? You think I'm a clown? I'm joking. I'm here to make a joke for you. And they could introduce each other and hurt and do whatever they want. But right now, Mueller is going to have to set a stake in the ground. And I'm waiting for it. And I think it's either going to be, I think he's definitely going to push to have Manafort put into jail.
Yeah.
He just needs to go to prison at this point for a little while, like I said, to refocus himself. But the next series of indictments are going to be very important. There was just breaking news on MSNBC about 10 minutes ago from the White House where they said Trump is considering dozens of new pardons.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's his newest favorite toy. But when you say dozens of new pardons, you're talking about possibly pardoning everyone who's been charged here. So Mueller is going to have to weigh that against having to, go out and start flipping some indictments out there. I'm still waiting for Jared Kushner.
Yeah.
That is way over.
Well, and this
Trump
would
Jr.
explain...
and Jared Kushner.
Yeah, this would explain why George Papadopoulos' wife is on TV. asking for a pardon, right? She literally said her husband's been a dedicated and committed member of Trump's presidential campaign who's done an excellent job. Because of this incident, his freedom is challenged, so I'll trust and hope the president will pardon him. She conceded that Papadopoulos met with, the Russians, but she said their interaction had been merely gossip about Clinton's emails. He never colluded with the Russians. Oh, my God. He pled guilty, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, he pled guilty. He's cooperating. He's spilling his guts. We have hard evidence against him. We have testifying witnesses against him in the form of the Australians and maybe other people, including Rick Gates and other. We have video of him with Sessions and Trump. We have his version of the events of what took place in that meeting, and they're eventually going to get Sessions's and other people in there. I mean, there's nothing, that they can do. Trump could pardon him, but the grand jury can still force his testimony. All that does is absolve him of his sins, which he has confessed to at this point, right?
Yeah.
I have one other point I want to make
go ahead.
about Papadopoulos. I don't recall who wrote it yesterday on the internet, but it clicked in my head. Something, I'm an old cryptologist, so cryptologic linguist. So my job is to hear certain things and analyze how they feel when I hear them. His wife does not strike me as Italian at all. She has an Eastern European dialectical accent.
Oh,
and I've heard, I'm now, I need to get my girlfriend Wanda Sykes out here. You guys don't know. Wanda Sykes was also an Army cryptologist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, wow. She, me, and
she's free.
Williams.
She's free now that Roseanne's been canceled.
Yeah. So maybe she'll want to go back to A group at NSA and take on that Eastern European Russian linguist job. But, I found that very suspicious. And, I'm going to have to do some analysis of it. I'll probably tweet about it. But I'm starting to agree. She is not Italian.
Yeah,
I almost married an Italian from Treviso. So, I stationed in Sicily for a while.
How exotic. Uh-huh.
Yeah, very exotic.
Yes.
The salty sailors. But, this is a question that my friend Oleg Kalugin, the ex-KGB general who's at the Spy Museum, he's famous for the phrase that in the West, you ask your men to stand up for your country. In the East, we ask our women to lie down for ours. Is this person is she a deep cover operative? It sounds silly.
Interesting.
But, a good counterintelligence officer like the FBI and CIA, they would automatically assume that until they've cleared her background. But her accent is absolutely baffling.
Yeah.
Even those people who are from northeast of Venice, up there in Trieste, all those places along the Slovenian border in Croatia.
Yeah.
No, they still sound Italian.
Maybe she's from where? What did Andy Kaufman play in Taxi? Maybe she's from there. And we are yet going to have Trump pull off the mask and be Andy Kaufman. Who knows? Latka, right?
Latka Kravitz.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned Giuliani. I just had to ask you this latest thing where he said, for a year, they of course, had one story about the Trump Tower meeting that Trump didn't dictate the right?
Right.
And so Giuliani says it was a mistake. I swear to God, it was a mistake. He said mistakes like that happen all the time among attorneys in the early stages of a case. For a year?
What?
You have a cover story that turns out to be not true.
Mistakes happen all the time when you're lying.
Yeah.
Mistakes what do they say? If you're not lying, it's you don't have a problem remembering the truth if you're not lying.
Yeah.
Right? But this is absolutely fascinating. I have in my new book when it comes out this strategy that I said that Trump uses, which is, LDDAC, right? Mm-hmm. Lie, dissemble, disinform, and then arrogantly confess. Yeah. And if you look at everything Trump does, he does that. He will lie. Then he will try to dissemble, say, well, it wasn't this, it was that. Then he'll disinform, he'll move to a completely different world. And then he'll say, yeah, I did it.
I'm reading
Giuliani is using that method.
Yeah, I don't even know which whack jobs he's quoting this morning, Malcolm, but this is gaslighting at literally the highest degree. It's saying, nuh-uh, not me. It was the other side that did the exact thing that you're accusing me of. He quoted somebody, Judicial Watch. They're running an operation to undermine a candidate for president of the U.S. These are all violations of law. This is intelligence tradecraft to steer an election. I mean, he literally is trying to say, no, it was Hillary and the Democrats that did exactly what they did.
Yes, it's absolutely. I mean, it is the literal definition of gaslighting here. Okay, they are trying this. These are real disinformation methodologies that have been developed by the West and the East that are used in psychological warfare all the time. You don't want to muddy the waters. You want to make an entirely different set of reflective waters that you apply as a template over your enemy. And in my book, Plot to Destroy Democracy, which comes out in about a week, that book, I show you there's a chapter in there about Trump where the Russians framed Trump's worldview before Trump developed a worldview.
Yeah.
So that he would always be within Moscow's framework.
Right.
And
Malcolm,
then
real
he
quick.
adopted it.
Yeah, real quick before you go. I mean, talk about the height of gaslighting. I was talking earlier about Putin coming out and saying, oh, yeah, Donald and I talk all the time and about, there might be an arms race. We want to avoid that. But, there's so much going on internally in your politics attacking the president. I'm going, did he just threaten an entire country with nuclear war if we don't leave our president alone? Is that, I mean, did I read that right?
Well, it's something like that, but I think I think he really is speaking to Trump's base, right? I'm a good guy. It's those bad, horrible Democrats that are forcing all these terrible things here. Trump is trying to stop things, and and I would be willing to help out with that. But I think the real interesting component of this is not just that he's speaking to Trump's base. He's now opened up to Europe this week, essentially saying, wow, the United States is sort of crazy with all these tariffs, right? Maybe you should come along and work with us.
Oh, my God.
I mean, he's thinking full of it. Can I say something about Russia? Russia is, I'm sure it's a big country. I'm sure it's a beautiful country. I've never been there. But I do know a little bit of something about its economy. It's a trailer park, okay, with atomic bombs. They've got the gross domestic product of Italy. It is really not a rich superpower nation, but they are doing power politics in such a way that they are a superpower now, greater than us.
Oh, please tell us it's going to be all right, Uncle Malcolm. Please.
You're supposed to cheer
kids.
us
up. No, I heard the previous interview. Things are going to be awesome. Okay. And I'm telling you, for all these people who were saying, look, we're not going to win the election, I actually am fighting on people with Twitter right now, the Bernie Bros and the Jill Steiners, who are all saying, I would never vote for a corporate Democrat. The world is on fire right now. Yeah. You must stand up right now and save democracy. You must stand up, get your friends, get voting pools, get people registered, and be prepared for this November, the greatest election in American history. It's on you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I listen, and what do you call it? Dianne Feinstein cruised to victory here in California. I mean, we and there's a lot of great races to look at. So you're right. As you always say, get someone else to take how many people with you to vote? At least one, right?
Plus one, right?
Yeah, plus
one.
Bring
two. But you got to cultivate them, right? You got to get them to register. You get them out there. Hey, quick aside. I was in a TV studio with John Cox, the Republican who was running for governor the other day. And I told him right to his face, because he said he loves him some Trump now. I said, at some point, I want you to remember this. Be prepared to run when that Benedict Arnold moment comes up. And he took me seriously.
That won't matter because Governor Newsom will have dispensed with him. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Malcolm. See you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. There he goes. Wow. Bye. Oh, I went to hang up and he wasn't on the phone. Okay.